Finnish identity and Swedish identity was for a long time based on being sort of a small, peaceful nation that wanted to stay out of the superpower conflicts.
If Russia's aim in the invasion of Ukraine was to weaken NATO, it seems to have had the opposite effect. Both Finland and Sweden have now formally said they will apply for NATO membership. That's a massive change in their foreign policy. How is that change going down in the region? Let's speak to Laura Saarikoski, who is the managing editor of the largest newspaper in Finland, Helsingin Sanomat. Laura, good morning to you.
Good morning from Helsinki.
Is this a sudden change, or is this inevitable because of what has been going on? And how comfortable are Finnish people with this?
Well, it is a huge change because at the end of January, the support for NATO membership in Finland was still hovering in around less than 30%. And now, a couple of months later, over 70% of people support joining NATO. And that, of course, has been caused by Russia, by its attack into Ukraine.
And the people who are still against it, what's their argument?
Well, I mean, you have to understand that after the end of the Cold War and the collapse of the Soviet Union, Finnish identity and Swedish identity was for a long time based on being sort of a small, peaceful nation that wanted to stay out of the superpower conflicts. So that's been part of our identity. And there was also hopefulness that at some point Russia would change and democratize, at least in the 1990s. But that obviously has not happened. And lately, I think there's only a small minority of people that still support not joining NATO and sort of, staying on our own, really. If you think about the situation in Ukraine did nothing to Russia. I mean, they are a neighbor of Russia, and all of a sudden Russia committed this very sort of aggressive and irrational act of actually attacking one of its neighbors. And us being the neighbor of Russia and having the history of having fought wars with Russians, that, of course, brings back very awful memories.
Yes. NATO is something, just the mention of it, that seems to infuriate Vladimir Putin. Is there a calculation here that the protection that Finland would enjoy from NATO is enough to counter any action that Vladimir Putin might take against Finland because it had joined NATO?
Well, first of all, Finland has maintained a very strong military of our own all the time. We have still conscript, so all males have to serve in military or then opt for civil service. However, I do think that NATO offers us the kind of a even stronger protection as an alliance towards any future possible aggression. Our president, Mr. Niinistö, spoke with Mr. Putin on Saturday and sort of told Mr. Putin that, Finland and Sweden will actually apply for NATO membership because he wanted to tell that directly. And he said that Putin's reaction was actually quite surprisingly even reasonable, that he said, there was no threat to you, to Finland and Sweden, and it is a mistake to apply. However, I don't think that we can take him at his word, can we? We do not know what kind of a future waits Russia. And as far as what happened in Ukraine, not many specialists and not many Russians said beforehand that would happen. Actually, it was the opposite. Russians said that the whole idea that Russia would attack Ukraine was just a Western propaganda. And then we saw the reality on February 24th.
What's the timetable for this then, Laura? Parliament are going to vote on this in the coming days. When might Finland actually become a member of NATO officially? How does it work?
Well, we of course hope that this process won't take very long. I mean, Sweden and Finland have been very active partnership of peace members with NATO, and we trained with NATO troops for a long time, and we've attended the meetings as observers. So, we're sort of quite ready as partners and members of the NATO. We hope that it won't take long, of course, because this will put us in a sort of a gray time zone when we have applied but have not yet been approved. And that's why we appreciate, for example, that Prime Minister Johnson came here last week to Stockholm and Helsinki and said that Britain will help Finland and Sweden as far as our security concerns during the application process.
Right. Laura, really interesting. Thank you for talking to us. That is Laura Saarikoski. She is the managing editor of the largest newspaper in Finland, Helsingin Sanomat.